You'll recall that earlier this month, the National Security Council released its assessment of the chaotic U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. Though the report was billed as an effort to study and learn from the disastrous withdrawal, it merely whitewashed the administration's failures, while finger-pointing and placing the blame, guess where? On Donald Trump. Well, earlier today, a subcommittee of the House Homeland Security Committee held a hearing on the Biden administration's catastrophic Afghan withdrawal, seeking to understand what the administration would rather keep buried. What were they not telling us? Well, join me now to discuss this, Congressman Eli Crane. He serves on the House Homeland Security Committee, the House Small Business Committee, and the House Committee on Veterans Affairs. He represents the 2nd Congressional District of Arizona. Congressman Crane, welcome to Washington Watch.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Mr. Perkins. Appreciate it.
So tell us about today's hearing. What did we learn?
Well, I think we learned from the vast majority of the witnesses that we had that it was a disastrous withdrawal. There was no responsibility or accountability taken whatsoever. It seemed like even the Democrats' own witness would agree with a lot of what we were saying as Republicans. And honestly, Tony, it just goes to show that regardless of whether we're talking about the border, the economy, inflation, or this withdrawal from Afghanistan, this administration continues to show no sign of taking any responsibility for the shape that this country is currently in.
So, Congressman, getting a chance to look at the details of what we saw the big picture of, you know, it was disastrous. It was embarrassing. You pick the adjective and fill in the blank. But how did this withdrawal, as you've looked at this, signal weakness to the world and damage our credibility on the international stage?
Well, I think obviously it definitely hurt our integrity with some of our allies, who probably next time we say, hey, we want to help, or we want you guys to help us and we got your back, I doubt they're going to believe us. And I think you're starting to see some of that with the way, you know, the geopolitical chessboard is starting to shift around from countries that have worked with the United States for a very long time, actually starting to look towards other countries and abandon the United States, our currency, et cetera. And I can tell you something, Mr. Perkins, one of the most disturbing parts of that entire hearing today, despite, you know, was obviously the Democrats wanted to keep blaming, you know, President Trump for everything that went on. And the other thing that I found really disturbing was that they kept talking about the biggest threat that we face in the homeland and with our security is domestic terrorism. And it's interesting, Tony, because I spent, several years in the SEAL teams. I did 3 deployments in the SEAL teams, fighting in the Middle East. And when we were talking about terrorists, it was a completely different word than when the Democrats use that same word. When they say that, they're talking about, often they're talking about individuals wearing Make America Great Again hats, who are Trump supporters, who, you know, will get out of hand, you know, at a rally or something like that. And when I talk about terrorists, and when many of us that are serious about security talk about terrorists, we're talking about people that will behead you or saw your head off on national television, and have no problem doing it whatsoever. So that's one of the most disturbing things, Mr. Perkins, is just watching the Democrats try and gaslight the American people about, you know, what the real threats in this country are.
Could not agree with you more, Congressman Crane. Coming out of the Marine Corps, I served with the State Department in their anti-terrorism as we looked at bolstering our allies to be able to fight abroad and deal with terrorism so we wouldn't have to deal with it here at home. Same reason you, as a Navy SEAL, fought on foreign shores to keep us safe here at home. But if we go down this path, weakness, displaying an inability to stand with our allies, is this not making us more vulnerable here at home?
It absolutely is. And that problem is obviously compounded by the fact, Mr. Perkins, that we don't have a southern border. And everybody around the world knows it. Terrorist organizations know it. That's why you've seen such a spike of the encounters that we've had of individuals on the terror watch list coming in encounter with our Border Patrol agents. These are just scary times, sir, and I wish I could talk some sense into my counterparts on the other side, who seem to want to stay front sight focused on President Donald Trump and domestic terrorists as they call them. And the sad thing is, sir, we have some real issues. We have some real threats to this country and to our future. And I'm really not too sure that the Democratic Party wants to actually address those. They seem far more interested in just playing politics and gaslighting the American people.
Well, Congressman, for those that have actually dealt with the dangers of the terrorist, this is not a game. For them, it's a game. Congressman Eli Crane, I want to thank you for joining us and thank you for your service to our country.